Hello everybody, this is Captain Toro. Today I'm happy to host this little podcast that I'm doing with the one and only on your 12, which is sitting here, although he's sitting here on my 3, but it's definitely he's on your 12. He's the manufacturer of the best peripherals you can buy for the Tomcat nowadays. I am definitely a witness of that. I posted a lot of videos in my YouTube and in my Instagram about these products. I have the PDCP, which is basically, now I'm looking directly at it. These switches, as you can see, I can just move, and the switches, everything changes exactly. So I'll put a photo on this video so everybody can take a look at that. I'm recording it as we fly, so we're going to be doing a little mission from we're on the Sinai map in an airport called Borgarap, which I actually have been here in real life on a diversion that I did on a flight to Cairo, and we're going to be flying to the carrier. And on your 12, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Toro. I'm doing great, thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure always. I'm so happy to hear that also you fly the Tomcat, so it's great to have you here, man.
So, fly the Tomcat, you gotta take that with a grain of salt. I'm about 3 hours in on it, so.
That's alright. I've seen you flying the F-18. I remember that mission that we did a couple of months ago, and you ended up saving my ass there with a MiG-21 that showed up from nowhere, and you definitely killed him. So the Tomcat is just a matter of flying it. It's a little more of a chunky aircraft to fly, but it's an awesome aircraft. Okay. I have quite a lot of questions here to ask you during our flights. I'm just going to look for them in my kneeboard, and we can just start taxiing. The runway is in front of us, but we need to taxi, I believe it's out of the tarmac, and then turn a little bit to the left, taxi for a few thousand meters, I guess, and then we'll be ready on the runway. All right, my first question for you while we start taxiing is, what's the story behind on your 12?
Yeah, story behind on your 12. How it started was I first discovered DCS maybe 7 years ago or so, just before the pandemic, and bought the Hornet and was playing the heck out of it, and was just looking for ways to make the game a little bit more immersive. And I built myself a UFC. It took me quite a few tries before I got something I liked, but by the time I was done and had something that was useful for me, I had the name. So back then, when I was first playing, I was flying a lot with a casual group called Buds, which is short for Busy Dads, which that sums me up for sure. And I was doing some dogfighting with some BFM with a guy by the name of Vandal, who he really knew what he was doing, and I didn't. And so he was just shooting me out of the sky left and right. I think at one point, even I was in the Hornet, he was in an F-86, and took me out. But I just remember exclaiming at one point, I'm like, dude, I'm just always on your 12.
Oh, that's super cool. That's very, very cool. Actually, having call signs that they refer to something that happened in your life is as close as you can get to military aviation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, it's so cool. All right, let's taxi a little bit. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Let's taxi a bit, and in the meantime, I can just continue. Working on your brain, because I definitely, for me, I'm always amazed with the capacity that you have to create this, electronical stuff that works so good. I've been using that PDCP that I was talking about for almost 2 years now, and it's just, and I switch it, I use the switches every day, constantly on the Tomcat, and man, it's amazing. The durability and how nice it's working and how easy it was to set it up is something that amazed me. How you before starting into more of a technical stuff, I would just definitely would like to ask you a few more questions about the thing in DCS. You you said that you've been in DCS flying for like 7-9 years. You said something like that.
Probably about 7 years. I think it was maybe about a year or so before the pandemic that I really started playing. So around 2018, 2019, I think is when I started.
Okay. And when did this has become? I mean, are you still fly as much, or you are dedicating more time to the construction and designing of new of these items?
Oh boy, yeah, I definitely don't fly nearly as much. That's probably one of the biggest downsides to selling this stuff, is it really takes away my DCS time. You know, back when I was...
Yep.
Sorry, I was going to say back before I started selling stuff, you know, I was probably playing 10-15 hours a week. These days, boy, I'm lucky if I get 1 or 2 hours in a week to play. So that is definitely a downside.
Okay. Oh well, here, you know that you're a member of, a special member of this squadron. So anytime you want to join and fly with us, you're always welcome. And you have your access to the server and to the training server, and it's always great to have you. Cool. And has it stopped being a hobby, or because I mean it's a real brand now. I mean you sell to, I'm sure you sell to many countries, because I live in the Middle East, and I definitely order from you in the US. I'm pretty sure that the same as me, other clients, they buy your products from different countries.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I would say it is beyond a hobby at this point. Really, not just from a time perspective, but from a how seriously I take it perspective. Once people started paying me their hard-earned money for a product, I really had to start taking it a lot more seriously. You know, that's an obligation. You know, people work hard for their money, so if they're going to pay me for something, I'm going to take that very seriously. I'm going to make sure that, you know, that you're getting a quality product, something that you're happy with. So there's that aspect to it, and then from the time aspect as well. You know, it you know, on year 12 has organically grown from, you know, selling, you know, a couple of panels here and there to selling quite a few. I think I hit my 1,000th sale last month.
Wow! Congratulations, man.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations! That's amazing. 1,000 products. Well, that starts to create, you know, to be really of value. You know, I think, because at the end, it's those clients. I am one of those, and I think we become automatically connected to you, and always looking to see what's the next product that you're gonna bring out, and now I think the latest one for the Tomcat is that the ARC 159, the radio panel.
Yep, that's right.
Oh my God, that's
back in June.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing, and useful. You know, and for us VR simmers, you know, and it creates this immersion. You know, which is amazing. You're able to have a little like I do, for example, like one of those next level racing seats, which I'm also I'm what's the name? I collaborate with them. I have a discount code for them, because it's also I only represent products that I really convinced that they work and they are fantastic, which is the case with you. So and I was saying that if you're able to put that in your right hip, in your left hip, and you're in VR, you know, your hand goes there and you have the image from the game. It's just it's absolutely mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah. I need to hook myself up with one of those radio panels and a PDCP as well. I started flying a Tomcat. I don't have that set up myself yet.
Well, I'm sure you can find one of those that they're used for testing or something that you can still use it for yourself. So you don't have to you don't have to use one of your actual units. Cool. So what I mean, you said that you started doing this, but what was the actual moment when you realized that this is a problem that I need to fix by creating these products? What was that? What do you remember about that?
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest. I didn't really even see it as a problem at the time. I was just playing a lot, and I found myself reaching for the mouse a lot to plug things in on the UFC. Whoop! Did I cut out there? so I was using the mouse a lot to interact with the UFC, and I just, I wanted to be able to get a little bit more immersed in the game. And so, I was looking around to see if there were any off-the-shelf solutions out there, and there really weren't at that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. There was, I think at the time, this was before WinWing came out with their MIP. The closest thing I could find was the Buddy Fox A10 UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about getting one of those, but I just thought, I know a little bit about electronics and DIY stuff, so I'll just try building my own.
That's great. And then did you just show me a photo of the first review, I think, of one of the first birds that you sold, yeah?
I did. That was the very first unit I sold. The customer was kind enough to leave me a review. I think that was back in, was it 2019, I think? 2020? No, 2021. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was the first one that I actually sold. I'll try and find pictures of the first one that I actually built. You will laugh your ass off because it is pretty poor.
Well, I mean, you have to start from somewhere, no? I think.
Yep. So that's right. Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Toggle mirrors. I'm almost ready to go. So here we are aligned with the runway. I didn't ask permission because at the end there's no air traffic control today. Going to be focused more on the interview than actually the correct application of procedures, huh? All right. Let me know when you are ready for takeoff.
I'm ready for takeoff.
Alright, so let's do a 7 seconds interval. Okay, I'll start first. Roll the brakes a little bit, power up, and remember that on Tomcat you don't need the afterburner for takeoff, huh?
Copy.
You can use it,
right.
but you will overrun me. Alright, I'm opening up a little bit to the left to give you some space so you don't have to deal with my wake.
Wheels up.
I'm selecting here my guidance there. Select the TID, gonna put some navigation, and I have my TACAN selected. Did I select my TACAN? No, I have to put 73X right here. Here we go. I got a signal there, 134 miles, heading north. So, yeah, check heading north. Let's climb this set military power and let's climb out to, I don't know, something like Angels 25. Fuel, we have 19,000 pounds, that's good enough. How do you like that head-up display with the presentation and the different presentations? Do you like the analogic or the digital?
So I've just been using it on default here, which it looks like is analog. I haven't gone in and tried to tweak anything yet.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me know. You got me in sight?
Yep, I've got you.
All right, see if we can form up a little bit so we can do a nice video at the same time. Look at the views of northern coast of Egypt.
Hopefully I can catch up without overshooting.
Yeah, I'm maintaining 380 knots, roughly.
Copy.
5 degrees of nose up, roughly, with the FPB. So I'm passing through 11,500. Alright, turning to the north. Okay. So you were saying that the program that triggered everything was that UFC for the F-18?
Yep, that was the first one.
And do you think that you were the first one to build one? I'm not sure about all these big brands that they produce them. Now I think Bullseye is also entering into a competition with wing control and stuff. But I'm fairly sure that at the time there was none of that, or was it?
Yeah, at the time there was nothing off the shelf. I think there were a couple other people that had built their own, but there was nothing available for purchase. And at the time, at least I wasn't able to find any plans for building yourself, so I really started from scratch.
Okay. That's so cool. I mean, for me, I'm jealous of this capacity that you have for creating this electronic stuff. For me, it seems super complex. I'm not sure how complex are your products, but they definitely feel super complex, especially the ones that they are. That you connect them, you just plug and play, and DCS recognizes it automatically. It's amazing, because I have other haptics from different manufacturers and other companies that you need to do some sort of a procedure. You need to connect here, you need to connect there, but yours are normally, the ones I have are absolutely plug and play. I didn't have to do anything, which are fantastic.
Yeah, and I do really try to make my products as plug and play as possible. There are some that just can't be done, right? Most of what I build, the inputs are just standard gamepad inputs. Everybody, if you're playing DCS, you know how to set that up. But there are a few products that require DCS BIOS, and I opted to use DCS BIOS because that's out there. There's it's kind of a standard when it comes to getting outputs to your hardware. I really wanted to make it as easy as possible for the customers to use, not just so that they would have a good experience, but also so that I wouldn't have to spend a lot of time doing customer support on that type of thing.
Yeah. I guess with 1,000 clients that you have now, that's some sales that you had. I don't know how many clients. I'm sure that you better have your products being absolutely reliable, so they don't have to bother you every single time, and to provide some after sales service as you mentioned. Definitely,
for sure.
That's great. So, what do you, in your opinion, what defines a good product in flight simulation?
So, in my opinion, it's a good product if it enhances your experience. If it makes the game more enjoyable, takes away some of the things that pull you out of the game. That's really the crux of it.
I agree. And from your opinion, what it comes first, realism, ergonomics, or immersion?
Great question. I think it's a balance. I think the bottom line is if it enhances the game, and for some people, I think for most people, that requires a certain amount of realism. But that can't come at the expense of your enjoyment, right? If it's super realistic, but it's a hassle to use, then it's probably not as good of a product. So and in my experience, I think it really comes down to a balance. There has to be some level of realism. So most of the panels that I make, I try to keep reasonably close to the real thing. Roughly the same format, layout of things, etc., etc. There are a few panels that I've built that really didn't stay true to the real thing, and people just aren't as interested in that.
Yeah, I see. For me, for example, I have a really nice cockpit setup, and I bought products from Wing Control, for example, which is this big Chinese manufacturer. But one thing that they lack, for example, is a little bit of customer support. They only respond by chat. They do respond and all that, and you can see that most of it is a translation from the English to the Chinese. But in your case, for example, every time I had a doubt, it was lightning fast for you to answer, which I always appreciated. And I'm sure you're like that with all the clients and all that, because it definitely creates this kind of trust relationship, and and I see that it's. I don't know about you. I mean, you have more experience than me in this flight simulation. Well, I did start before I started working as an airline pilot. I did all of the Microsoft Flight Simulator and all that, and I had my little peripherals that I bought from German brand. I don't remember the name of it, but the thing is I think I'm getting lost here in the amount of things I wanted to say. It happens. But one thing I wanted to say, for example, as you were mentioning, that sometimes it's either too difficult to make it work, or it doesn't work, with your simulators, with sim setup. It happens to me with these screens of the F-18. I bought them from Wing Control, and I never got them to work. Can you believe that? The MFD, the DDIs, so the selector buttons of the outside rim of the F-18, I use them for everything. For the Tomcat, for the F-18, for everything. But the screens, I was never able to connect them. And it was a struggle. I couldn't return them, and I have them there. I think I'm going to eventually sell them, because I have never used them. It's and then I jumped to VR, so it's useless. So anyway, moving forward. All right, so talking about design and engineering, could you walk the audience a little bit through the process from having an idea to a final product?
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure I would describe my process as being super organized or anything like that. It's, but usually either I'll have an idea, or sometimes somebody will request something, and I'll first evaluate. Hey, is that something that I can build? Do I think it's something that I can build, or is it completely outside of my skill set or my niche? But once I decide that I want to take a shot at building something, the first thing that I'll do is I'll kind of lay out how I want it to look, right? So for most of the panels, that means starting from the faceplate, and I'll lay that out. I'll generally look at pictures of the real life panel if I can, measurements if I can get at them, things like that, and then I'll do my best at laying something out that's reasonably close to the real thing, but also workable.
Mm-hmm.
Once I have that faceplate layout, then I'll start looking at the circuit board designs, and I'll build the circuit board based off of that faceplate design. And after that, I'll go ahead and start doing some of the other physical pieces. The case, if there's any proprietary mechanisms that I need to build for, say for example, the TACAN channel selector. Mm-hmm. I'll prototype that, come up with a design, prototype it, get it working, and once I've convinced myself that, yep, I think I can build this, then I'll go ahead and order circuit boards. I'll usually order a small run of prototype boards. Mm-hmm. They take a little while to have built, and they can be kind of pricey. So I'll try not to do those too early, just to save myself time and money. Get once those prototypes come in, then it's pure build time. Put everything together, get it working, write the software. The software is probably the easy part for me. That's what I do by trade, and at this point, my software library for these panels is pretty well built out. I can take the existing stuff that I've got, the existing libraries, and get the software for the panel built pretty quickly. But yep, I get all those prototype materials together, put it all together, and then I start iterating. Okay, what works, what doesn't, what do I need to change, and usually by 3 or 4 iterations, I'll have something that is ready to make public.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool. So what is the most difficult product you've developed?
Most difficult one that I've developed, I would say that's a toss-up between the Tomcat ACM, the Tomcat AB ACM, the DCS BIOS version of that, and the F4 weapons panel. For different reasons. The Tomcat ACM was difficult just from a resource perspective, there are so many different indicators and whatnot on that panel that there were software challenges around memory and things like that. It took me a while to get right. And then the F4 weapons panel, I really wanted to make those selector dials work so that they had I'm about to overfly you. Sorry, I'm talking and not paying attention.
No worries.
I wanted those selection dials to work a very specific way, right? I wanted detented positions for for each of the positions on there, but I also wanted to be able to to allow the user to turn the dial all the way around and things like that. It was just I had to come up with a novel way of building that. There was nothing off the shelf that I could use for those selector dials, and so I spent a lot of time coming up with a good mechanism for doing that, and I'm pretty happy with the mechanism that I came up with, and I've used it in several of the panels since. But that was a really fun one to build. And as a side note, I actually got some input from a couple of folks that had real life hands-on experience with the Phantom, so that was really cool.
All right, man.
A Wizzo that was had some input. It was very cool.
That's cool, man.
Fletcher, shout out to you. Thank you.
Well, that's cool, man. It's super cool to be able to have some real life reference. I flew in, by the way, we are all with the carrier group. We should be below us, so we can orbit around here for a little while. So we're going to start on orbit to the right, very light turning. You could adjust that so we don't go too far away.
You're up on your left wing there.
Yeah, I had a chance to fly the time I spent on that squadron with the Corsairs. One member there for a while was a former Rio, an actual Rio of the F-14 Tomcat, that he was just flying a little bit. But he said that he didn't fly DCS too much. It was just sometimes that he gets away from work and family, and he has a little bit of time, and he loved to fly around. It was really cool to listen to his stories. In my case, for example, I can talk about commercial aviation, as much as is needed. But the issue is that because it's my job, I like to spend my time off, flying fighter jets and DCS. So that's what it is sometimes. Anyway, cool. So how do you were saying that you do some iterations and you balance the quality and the price. So where do you think is the balance there, between quality and price?
Yeah, good question. Quality is paramount, right? If I can't build a good quality panel, I'm not going to sell it. If I come up with a panel and it's going to be crummy quality in order to keep the price right, I'm not going to sell it. Again, people are paying me their hard-earned money. I'm just not willing to ship something that isn't going to hold up or isn't going to work well. But price, on the other hand, is absolutely a consideration. If I can't build something that I can sell for what I feel like is a reasonable price, again, I won't sell it. For example, the F-18 UFC, I sell a version of that doesn't have screens. I was selling that before Wing came out with their offering. I do have a version that I built with screens, but the material cost and labor cost on it was just high enough that I would have to be charging, between $400 and $500 a unit for that. Yeah. I'm just not willing to do so. So that's on my shelf. I won't sell that.
Mm-hmm. That's understandable. And what's your best-selling product?
So historically, I would say the Strike Eagle UFC probably still has the most sales of anything out there. Surprisingly, I still sell those from time to time. Anytime somebody reaches out wanting to buy one of those, I make sure that they understand, the situation between Eagle Dynamics and Razbound. But I still do sell a couple of those from time to time. And then next one up is probably a tie between the F4 weapons panel and the Viper ICP.
All right. And are you planning anything related to the BU? Something cool that people can expect?
I'm thinking about it. So for the BU, I did update the PDCP so that you can buy that with the BU labels instead of the A or B labels. The radio, the ARC 159, that'll work with the BU. I'm really, very, very early stages, but thinking that front and center panel that where the ACM panel used to be could be something really cool, with the master arm and the ACM switch and, turn slip indicator. That might be a real cool one.
It would, because actually it is a change from the B. There's some features that you cannot access that in the B you could access, and now in this, for example, to select the VSL low, high, and what's called PLO, I think, pilot lock on, you need to have the ACM cover up, and before it wasn't necessary. So there's a few things that they've changed, So that would be definitely cool to have something. And from the point of view, I don't know about what you think, but I have the feeling that there's a surge in flight simulation, the flight simulation community. There's more and more people getting into it and finding and enjoying it. And even though some people, they do not like the complexity that DCS has, I think more and more people are getting immersed into that, into and realizing that being able to fly an airplane as close as they used to do it as possible, nowadays with this flight simulation, and also with the integration of your peripherals, for example, is absolutely awesome. For me, as a real-life aviation professional, this is something that is like a child's dream, that I've always wanted to be a fighter pilot. I couldn't, when I turned 18, I had a little bit of a very slight eyesight issue, which, rendered that possibility impossible, but I became a commercial pilot, and I have a very nice career, but I've always wanted to fly fighter jets, so I think I really appreciate what you do, because from my point of view, you make my life better, man.
Oh, yeah, thanks. That's kind of you to say. I can really relate. When I was growing up, I very much wanted to be a fighter pilot myself. I also had eye issues. Mine were probably a lot more severe. I am nearsighted as get out, man. To the extent I had a family friend who was in the U.S. Air Force, and he was flying F-16s. And he was pretty candid with me. He said, you have no shot at being a fighter pilot, no shot whatsoever. And he also said, you are going to be really, really hard pressed to get a flying job, even outside. My vision's correctable, but, at the time, this was in the late 80s, early 90s, it sounded to me like a career in aviation at all was just out of the question. But I love playing DCS myself. It really scratches that itch.
And I tell everybody, some posts that I put on Instagram and YouTube, some people answer, I would love to be a pilot. And I always tell them, you can still be, in a simulated environment, and it's something that is going to make. The cool thing about DCS is that you can fly fighter jets, you can simulate battles and incursions and all sorts of things without first experiencing the G's, which I'm telling you, it's not nice. It's really not nice, and it's not well depicted in movies like Top Gun and that, because they're just talking to each other like they can talk nicely in the middle of a fight, and in most cases they're just they can barely breathe, and the second thing is that you don't get killed. You do get killed in the simulation, but you just respawn and you're back again. So it is the coolest thing in the world. Anyway, how's your flu state? Going back to the flight itself.
I got plenty. Looks like I have about 15,000 pounds.
Yeah, me as well. All right, shall we change the orbit a little bit to the left just to let our necks to rest for a while?
Sure.
All right. I have a few more questions, and we can just focus on getting the aircraft on the boat. Let's see if that happens. Alrighty. So, yeah, how do you stand out in this growing sim hardware market? How do you stand out? What's your marketing strategy?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't really have much of a marketing strategy. I really rely on my reputation. I'm lucky that I got into this space early enough that there weren't a lot of other folks selling stuff. And at this point now, I've been selling long enough and have sold enough that the word of mouth has gotten around. But I do things like use Etsy's, what do they call it, external ads, where they'll market me on Google and places like that. Mm-hmm. And on occasion I will run promos where I'll like give away a panel on Reddit or something like that.
That's great. I'll definitely contact you because I'm planning to do things within Bullseye Squadron tournaments and that kind of stuff. So I'll definitely contact you to see if we can do some sort of little marketing or get some prize for whoever whichever part wins the engagement or anything like that. I'm sure we can find a solution for that. We'll also people get to know you and it will be good for both parties. So.
Oh, absolutely, and that is something that I've done as well. Fox 3 servers used to run an annual tournament for a pretty good cause, and I always donated to that. Not really for the marketing so much, just because it was a good cause and it was a good thing to do. But yeah, if you run a tournament or something, I would absolutely be willing to put up a prize.
Okay. So we're getting to the end of the amount of questions that I have here for you. I have a few more. So where do you see your brand in a few years?
I don't know that I see it too much different from what it is now. I'm not out to get rich off of this or anything like that. I enjoy building products and running a small business. So I'll probably just continue coming up with new products that I want to see and that other folks want to see, and just continue. If I grow a little bit organically, that's great. If I don't, I'm fine with that too.
Okay. Perfect. And there's in a personal way. Because I'm guessing this is not your full-time job, isn't it?
It is not. No, this is purely a side job.
So how do you handle the amount of hours with the family and all that?
That is a challenge. So the answer to that is family is priority number one. My day job, my real job I call it, is priority number two, and then on your 12 is priority number three. If things are getting too busy and I can't keep up with things, well, that kind of sorts itself out naturally, because I won't make any inventory available on Etsy that I don't have built, with a couple of exceptions. Things that are customizable, I don't have that built, obviously, and then actually that's it. It's really only the Mudhead and UFC, the F-15 UFC, because there's not a real big demand for those. I'll put those up when I don't have inventory, but otherwise, if things are getting too busy and I can't keep up, well, inventory sells out, and until I have time to build more, that's just the way it goes.
That's great. I foresee for you a great future, because the amount of aircraft that they are supposed to come out, and with the amount of people getting into it and understanding that being able to have a nice cockpit at home, that makes the experience much better, I'm sure you have a bright future ahead. I'm 100% sure. All right.
That's kind of you to say.
Okay, so a quick fire set of questions, okay? There's a few questions there. What's your favorite DCS aircraft?
Right now it is the Tomcat BU. Love the upgrade.
Yeah, that makes the two of us. One must-have gear.
So I think I'm going to have to give you two, because I don't know that I can decide on one versus the other. So one would be a good HOTAS, or it doesn't even have to be a good HOTAS, a HOTAS, and two, a VR headset.
All right. I agree. Absolutely agree. What is the thing? What is the thing? The one thing that most players do wrong?
I don't know if I have an answer to that. Because I don't consider myself to be a great DCS pilot, but I think maybe something that I do see is people that maybe take things a little bit too seriously to where it's taken away from the experience rather than adding to it. I mean, if you want to be in a group that takes things as realistic as possible, then great. But if that's taking away from your enjoyment of the experience, then take a step back and play more casually.
Yeah, I agree with you. In that case, I like to take things seriously, and in my squadron we like to act as close to reality as possible, but at the same time we understand that it's a game. The A is just a game. So I mean, it's a very realistic flight simulation, but you have to take it as well as it cannot be so serious that you end up it can end up affecting your life. You know what I mean? Which I know that some people they just get really annoyed or frustrated, or it affects their lives. Which is, I mean, but at the end, hobbies are a bit like that. If you take it too seriously, like for example, golf. I play golf, and I remember at the beginning I was struggling because it was just so frustrating. So I got to a point that I thought I'm going to take it seriously, but just be mindful that I started a bit later than I was expecting to, and this is how it's going to be. So anyway. Alright, last question. Last two questions. VR or track IR? I think you answered that already, but VR or track IR?
Yep, VR. 100% VR. The first time I played DCS, it was in VR, and boy, that hooked me like crazy. I did try to play in track IR just to see what it was like, and, understanding that the graphics are a little bit better quality and whatnot, but I couldn't do it. I just lost my spatial awareness entirely.
Absolutely. For me, it's a game changer. I was getting so frustrated in track IR doing dogfighting. I was like, come on, man, I'm a real pilot. I'm sure I'm good at this. And with the track IR, I would lose sense of where we were, where the other guy was going. I couldn't make sense of it. And the moment changed when I started with VR, because then it's like, okay, I know where I am, I know where he's going, I can see his aspect, I can see everything much better. There's no quick movements in my vision, so it's just my head moving around. Cool. Last question. Realism or fun?
Sorry, my push to talk button I think is crapping out here, so it keeps disconnecting me. I would say fun, but I think those two things are related. I think realism is one of the things that makes DCS so much fun. The fact that you have to work hard to master a skill, or even not even master, but even get a skill down a little bit takes a great deal of effort, a great deal of work, and because of that, it's a great feeling when you finally nail it. When you get on the boat, when you get in the basket, it's like, yeah, that was hard, and so, man, that feels great that I did it. So, I would say they kind of go hand in hand.
I agree. For me, I remember I started, I've always played video games with Xbox. I was more of an Xbox guy from the beginning. And at the end, I ended up, I did also shooting some of this, shooters and stuff. But the reality is that I would enjoy more the games that they would make me use my brain a little more, like strategy games and that kind of stuff. And I always felt that it was just falling, a bit short of what I was needing, And when I started DCS, first of all, it was aviation related, and the second is like, this is so realistic that it's really, you really need to put a lot of hours and a lot of effort into it. Even the whole interface of the game is not very friendly. You need to know where to find things, and it takes a while, and all these keybinds of the controls, and it was just a bit like very frustrating, frustrating. But the thing is that as soon as you pass that first pain, suddenly the fun shows up. So in my opinion, I would say realism first and fun second. But definitely, because fun is going to be a consequence of the realism, in my point of view.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks so much for answering all my questions. Shall we try to see if we can land this aircraft on the boat? What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. Tell you what, I have not bothered setting up my TACAN or course or anything, so if you don't mind, I'll play the role of Cougar.
Yeah, follow me. To tell the truth, I have a TACAN selected, but for whatever reason, it's not indicating. It happened to me the other day on a different server. But I have this little help from the DCS World viewer that I use sometimes when I lead some training exercises. Some of the guys that get lost, and I just give them vectors to. So I do both jobs of a pilot and air traffic controller. So it's just behind us right now. The fleet is behind us, so we can start descending. If you follow me up, you can stay on my right side if you want, and I'm just going to start descending a bit more rapidly and abruptly. The carrier is just, as I said, behind us at about 15 miles, 20 miles, something like that. It's a pity not having the TACAN, but at least we'll be able to have visual contact with them once we are below the clouds. I'm getting a little bit of statutory thing. At the same time, every day I'm testing something new, and I got recently these Pimax glasses, these VR glasses, the Pimax Dream Air, which are absolutely fantastic. But I'm still twitching with the little sets. I definitely saw videos where they were saying that it's going to take a few weeks until you get a hold of the amount of possibilities, and these foveated rendering and quad views is all new to me, because I was using the MetaQuest, which is quite a little bit more straightforward to configure. But the view on these glasses is as close as reality as you can get. It's absolutely outstanding. But again, you were asking me about the pass-through, and they have a pass-through. I'm fairly sure. I haven't tested too much, but I'm fairly sure it's not as good as the one in the MetaQuest 3. But I have developed I wasn't using it actually before on the MetaQuest 3. I was mostly doing everything by muscle memory, and all the little buttons that I have around my cockpit. I would just be leading the hand and trying to find the right one.
Yep, yeah, I used to fly like that as well, but once I discovered pass-through on the Quest, boy, that was a game changer for me. I really like that a lot.
I've seen guys that they have these mixed reality setups, and it's quite amazing. I mean, they can see their cockpit, their hands, their legs, their everything, but outside is DCS. I find that amazing.
Yeah. Yep. I tried that initially. I didn't have great luck with that. It took me so long to get everything lined up so that it worked well. I mean, every time I'd sit. Sorry, my push to talk button I think is wearing out here. Every time I would, jump in the game, I would spend 15-20 minutes trying to get everything lined up. But with Virtual Desktop now, there's a pass-through version where it just passes through wherever your hands are at, which that's great, because if it's in the way of something in game, I just move my hand. Mm-hmm. But I really like that.
All right, here. The target, the camera group is on the right side. Let's see if we can see them visually. Going a bit too fast. Yeah, it's to the right. Okay, I got them. Got them inside. Just follow me.
Copy.
All right, let's put the hook down.
Hook down.
And the procedure, for the brake, you need to put the wings stacked way behind, so all taxed at 68 degrees. Let's focus on 350 knots, and don't forget to put your landing configuration on your PDCP. Yeah, the TACAN still doesn't work for whatever reason. I think it's 73 X-ray. I'm fairly sure. Just watch on the. Take a look on the comms card. Might have changed things. I tried to change the mission often so people don't get bored. And it might happen that you see the carrier on the left?
Yep.
Below us?
You know the BRC by chance?
No, but I'm gonna make a call. Let's orbit a little bit to the right here, and let's get some time. We have fuel, 12.8. Actually, we should dump some fuel. The calculation should be 10,000 pounds between munitions and fuel. So, if you think about you have Phoenix. Phoenix is 1,000 pounds each. Sparrows is 500 pounds. Sidewinders is 250 pounds. So we have I have 1,500 pounds on top because I only have Sparrows and Sidewinders. If you have a Phoenix, unless you want to dump it, which I don't think the commanding officer is going to be very happy with you, but it's up to you. You need to discount another 1,000 pounds and then dump the fuel. I mean, you can dump, actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea to dump the fuel a little bit. Let me just make the call for the carrier. Yeah, 73 X-ray. 73 X-ray. Yeah, my VR is getting out of sync. Yeah,
so I don't have I don't have anything bound to fuel dump or jettison, so I'm just gonna land heavy.
Yeah, all right, no worries. I'll dump a little fuel here. I mean, you see the dump. The dump is on the left side, on your left knee. You see that red guard that says feet forward 4 north and left. On the right side, just below it, it says off and dump. So you can start dumping fuel.
I see it. Shoot, I lost sight of you, so I'm no longer on your wing.
Okay. Just continue turning to your right. We should be able to orbit. I'm 2,700 feet. I'm going to try to not descend too much.
Alright, I'm basically going to go Marshall stack pattern here.
Okay. I am going to... Yeah, I'm a bit further to the back. So you go ahead and... Actually, that's the proper way to do it. So let's go into the stack. I'm going to go into the stack. You stay at... I'm now 3,000. So you can... What's your altitude right now?
I'm at 2,000.
Okay, so stay at 2,000. I'll join at 3,000. So we have a bit of a confliction. By the way, on the stack, you don't need to have the wings at the back, completely swept here. So you can just put them normally to get max reserve fuel, which in this case we need to dump a little bit. Yeah, I don't know why the TACAN doesn't work. The TACAN is hard to get a position properly here. Okay. So then I took from position number 2, which is the front side of the formation of boats there of the battle group. Okay, got them inside. Let's see if I can just get the proper channel. I'm gonna tell it's the channel 18 if you want to make the call. Radio ARC 182, tune ATC, tune tactical. Warfighter.
So do you have Jester set the radio channel, or do you do it?
On the front radio, I do it myself. On the back radio, I mean, I can do it myself as well if I just go there and if I jump to the rear seat and do it. Because I have the same on your radio, on the ARC 152, I have it for the front and for the back seat selected. Because they're separate, so I can do it. But it's just when I'm in the cockpit flying, I just tell Jester to do it. make a call.
Copy.
Option 5. Option 1. Option 1. Alright, I'm climbing up a little bit, Angels 5, and I'm entering in position 1, so it's basically on the area of the carrier. Okay, on the side of the carrier. BSC 270. Remember when you put the course, I mean you can put 270 if you want, but then also put the heading if you're maintaining for 9 degrees less for the angle, which is basically where you want to aim. You're getting out of the you know what I mean. The angle is 9 degrees different from the BRC. Okay.
Copy.
Okay. Option 2. I forgot that I was dumping fuel. I'm already within the range for trapping. Let me know when you start, huh? When you do.
Alright, I'm gonna... so I didn't get a response from...
Make sure you have the... Or you can select the channel. It's channel...
Yep, channel 18.
Channel 18 on the radio, on the back radio, or 127.5. That's the frequency. Channel 13, I think, is pre-selected there. Yeah. It's just a pity that I have to check the mission because the TACAN was working. I'm not sure why it's not working now. Don't have your side. Where are you in the SAC?
I am right over the boat right now at Angels 2.
Okay. Slowly descending to Angels 3. So these the ships, I put them in position so it's easy to assess where you are. So when you are doing the break, you just have to fly over the ship that is in front, and when you turn downwind, you should fly over the ship that is parallel to the boat. And when you start turning towards final, you should have your right wing almost flying over the boat that is dragging behind the carrier. Yeah?
Nice.
It's a way of visually, know if you're close or you're too far away, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've really got to get my pit layout set up so that I can easily tune the radio and dump fuel and all that fun stuff.
I think I got you visual now. Yeah. It's becoming a bit stuttery. We are.
Alright, I think I'm just gonna go in, no comms.
Yeah, don't worry, man. Nobody's... That's the great thing about DCS. You know?
Alright, I am totally gonna embarrass myself here. Here we go.
You're gonna do a full break, or you're gonna go ahead and try to land it like that?
Nope, I'll do a full break.
Okay. And you know the steps, yeah?
More or less.
I mean, they're the same as in the F-18. It's just different speeds for the flaps, not to overspeed them. But the rest of the procedure is fairly the same. 350 knots, 800 feet. You go around 3 Gs or 10% of the speed, and you adjust with that. So once you put idle, speed breaks out, and as soon as you blow to 50 the gear, as soon as you blow your 225, you can put the flaps out, and that's it. And then you just have to trim it. So you're going for it, yeah? I'll go behind you. We're gonna commence. The important thing is to have the aircraft with the wings fully swept back before you start the brake, because that forces you to trim the aircraft, nose up, and that is actually after that when you're putting the wings back to auto during the turn, the trim stays. So that's actually is a good trimming, almost the trim you need for landing. You need a bit to trim a little bit more. And the good thing
I don't see a wake behind the boat. Is it moving?
It should be moving, yeah. It might not be moving very fast, but it should be moving. It's definitely. We're still in the phase of training with the guys out there. We haven't get to the boat yet. I don't think they're ready. We're operating from the ground for the time being. And I haven't been in this boat for a while. I practice on the other one, on the other shop where I fly with the Peking dogs. It's a great group. I mean, I know that you don't have the time, but these guys operate in Pacific. I'm a training officer there actually on the Top Gun. We operate in Pacific times, 8 in the evening, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Which for me fits perfect because I'm on the other side of the world, and it's in the morning for me, Wednesdays and Fridays. So it fits perfect. But if you wanna fly the Tomcat and learn the Tomcat properly, I can teach you in Bullseye, but in that I think will be even better. All right. I'm getting on my proper altitudes.
See my
and don't forget the DLC. The DLCs. Because this aircraft really flies. You should fly with DLCs most of the approach. Once it's configured and trimmed, it's all about you set the power around 90%, and you just use the DLCs. A bit high. Correcting that.
Alright, so this is going to be ugly, but I didn't get an E-bracket for some reason. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong here, but...
You put the landing indication, the landing gear?
Yep, it's on landing. I've got,
Alright, on the brake.
Gear down. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Yeah, and my AOA indexer isn't working either. What's going on here?
As soon as you put the gear down, you should see the bracket coming out.
Yep.
Flaps out.
Gears down. No gear bracket. And shows my gear down too. What the heck?
Do you have it some sort of decladder, or the E bracket should show, nevertheless. But
nope.
All right, you'll see this out. A bit low. Just catching up some altitude here on the downwind.
Alright, I'm going back up into the pattern here.
Don't forget to put your flaps out, huh? Maybe the wings are still back?
Nope, wings were forward, flaps were out. Of course, now I probably just oversped them. I did put them back, but I think I was probably at 270.
Alright, I'm a beam. I'm turning. The carrier might be stopped, huh? For whatever reason. That's going to make a little more difficult landing.
Yeah, I see a wake behind the lead boat there, but nothing behind the boat. Nice.
Ooh, Bolter.
Oh.
I went a bit too low. That's alright. Actually been like a month or so. I've been focusing so much on the F-18 lately that... Alright. Coming back.
Boy, I need a lot more practice with this.
Yeah, Tomcat is not an easy aircraft to fly around the boat. Alright, being turning. I've ordered I bought from BKV the F-14 Tomcat Grip, and for one reason or the other, I have not been able to fly it much. Mostly because it lacks the buttons that I was telling you about. This weapon selector, the VSLO, the PAL, and all that stuff. So with the Hornet grip, you can have that on the castle switch. But I've ordered recently an extension for the Moza, so I can fly it in the Moza. So I'm just gonna fly it for fun, and I'm looking forward to it. With your panels, your radio, and your PDCP, and I hope I can fly the Tomcat as realistically as possible.
Nice. So I oversped my flaps because I can't get the wings back now, so I'm just going to get on the boat however I can.
That's going to be hard then, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I trapped. One wire. What a piece of shit. That's alright.
You got on, that's all that matters, right?
Well, where I'm at, we should be a little bit more, but it's been a little while, so it's fine. Okay, flaps are coming up, wings are forward. There you go, taxiing.
Alright, I got the E-bracket that time.
Nice. The deck is green. You can proceed.
I got too far. Yep, this is going to be ugly.
Alright, do your best. it here because I don't see the guy. Break a set. Let's take a look at where you are.
Yeah, I've got no DLC too, so I definitely mess things up.
Yeah, it has happened to me more than you can count. So I remember when I started flying with the puking dogs. I can see you coming in. Yeah. Nice and steady.
Yeah, I can't see the deck lines or anything.
We're a bit low.
This is gonna be really ugly.
Keep it up. Don't settle. Don't settle. Don't settle. There you go. Nice.
That was horrible.
Very nice. You end up doing a wire one. That's okay, man. I mean, that's both of us. I also did a wire once. You're gonna have to go and talk to the commanding officer and explain.
Right.
What are you guys doing all the time? You were talking on the radio. You were talking on the radio non-stop. That was very cool.
They're also going to be unhappy that I can't get the wings back.
Yeah. That's fine. One of the guys I fly in the Peking Dogs, he's an F-18 pilot. Now he's becoming a RIO on the F-14. He used to be a mechanic on the Tomcats, and he was deployed, and he worked in aircraft carriers, and with the things, the stories he tells us about the Tomcat, they're so cool. They're so cool. This summer playing golf, I did some of the days that I was playing by myself. I would just get this podcast, the Tomcast. I don't know if you've heard that, you listen to it in Spotify. Yeah. It is fantastic, man. The stories they tell about the Tomcat times, absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, on your 12, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your time. I think we had a really nice sort of podcast with DCS, and I hope everything works well for you, and I'm sure it will, because your products are fantastic. They speak for you. So looking forward to continue flying together and continue our relationship, which is becoming more of a friendship than anything else. No?
Yeah, thank you so much, Toro. Appreciate your time, and you mentioned earlier, you are one of my best customers for sure, and I love flying with you. I hope I didn't embarrass you too much with my crappy flying skills.
Oh my God, yeah, that's perfect, man. We both survived. You brought an aircraft safe to the and as you said, I mean, being this one of your first few initial hours on the Tomcat, you managed to land on the carrier with no flaps, man. Congratulations. Huh? All right, see you everybody. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope I will bring more of these amazing interviews with super interesting people related to DCS and this amazing hobby that we all have, which is flight simulation, in this case military simulation. Thank you so much again, on your 12.
Thank you, Toro.
All right, take care.